Hello guys, this is Dr. Hazama. Today we are going to learn about the human anatomy from the tissue level to organization level. So let's start. So what is a tissue? Tissue is made up of similar type of cells aggregating together. They form a tissue. So tissues are a group of similar cells and extracellular products that carry out a common function. We will further discuss what are the extracellular products in upcoming slides. There are four types of tissues. First one is the epithelial tissue, second is the connective tissue, muscle tissue, and nervous tissue. Epithelial tissue generally they are present in the superficial layers, like they are covering our body cavities and general body surface. Connective tissue, like they are connecting other tissues, like we can say that cartilage is one of type of connective tissue, and bone is also another type of connective tissue, whereas blood is a liquid connective tissue. In the third number, we have the muscle tissue. We will discuss. They have the special property, that is contractile property. The fourth one is the nervous tissue. They can transmit the action potential throughout the body and conduct various type of signals from one body part to CNS or PNS. Epithelial tissue, as I already mentioned you, they line body surfaces and all body cavities. It forms the external and internal lining of many organs. It constitutes the majority of glands, means the majority of glands is made up of this type of tissue, composed of one or more layer of closely packed cells that form a barrier between two compartments having different components. Means that they can form a barrier between two different types of tissues with, we can say, it has no extracellular matrix, or it has barely little epithelium. No, there is no blood vessels which penetrate the epithelium, means that they generally get uh, their contents of oxygen or glucose from the diffusion from the other nearby cells. Here we can see that there are types of epithelium. We can see this is the simple epithelium. Second one is the stratified epithelium. In the simple epithelium, we have generally one layer of cells. In the stratified, we can see that we have many number of layers of the cells. There is apical surfaces which belonging to the apex, whereas there is basal surface, there is a basement membrane. Same here, we have the apical surface, basement membrane, basilar surface of this epithelium. We have three types of cells, epithelial cells, on the basis of their nucleus shape. First one is the squamous cell. The nucleus of a squamous cell is a flattened type. Now you can see that this is like disc, whereas in cuboidal we can see that it is a circular or a cuboid form of nucleus. In the third one, we have the columnar cell in which the nucleus is columnar in shape. Further, characteristics of epithelial tissue on the basis of cellularity. composed almost entirely by cells bound close together by different types of cell junction. Means that epithelial cells are connected to other cells like nearby cells, with the different types of junctions, cell junctions. So we will learn these cell junction for the further upcoming lectures. Characteristics of epithelial tissue on the basis of polarity. We can see that we can saw earlier that epithelial tissue have the apical surface, free or top surface, intercellular junction between two cells, and basal surface at the bottom of surface. Here we can see this is the apical surface, this is the basilar surface, means that bottom. Here if there is another cell, like we can say if another cell, there will be an intercellular junction. Characteristic of epithelial tissue and attachment. The basal surface of epithelium is bound to a thin basement membrane. We can saw here, we saw that basal surface of epithelial is bounded with the basement membrane. What is basement membrane? It's just like it provides nutrition to the overlying epithelial tissues. It has the blood vessels, basement membrane, again has different types of layer. We will not go in for further detail, but we will have an extra lecture on that topic. Characteristic of epithelial tissue on the basis of avascularity, means that it doesn't have any blood vessels. It obtains nutrients by directly across the apical surface or diffusion across the basilar surface. Characteristics of epithelial tissue and innervation. So we will see that most of the epithelia are richly innervated. They can detect any change, like they are present in our body surface. We can detect heat, we can detect coldness, we can detect any pressure in our epithelia. So most nervous system is in underlying connective tissue. Characteristics of epithelial tissue on the basis of regeneration capacity. So they have high regeneration capacity. Means that if epithelial tissue is damaged, they can regenerate very rapidly and replace that wounded with a healthy one. Continual replacement occurs through the divisions of the deepest epithelial cells called stem cells nearby its base. Functions of epithelial tissue. What are the functions of epithelial tissue? It protects our body surfaces and body cavities. Regulation of material in and out of the organ or tissue. Yeah, we will see upcoming. Produce secretion. No. Endocrine glands, exocrine glands are all types of epithelial tissue we discussed earlier. Functions of epithelial tissue. Nerve endings, as we saw earlier, that it has many nerve endings, like it can detect any change in environment. So nerve ending detect changing in the external environment at their surface. Continuously supply information to the nervous system concerning touch, pressure, temperature, and pain. So there are four types of junctions. What are junctions? They connect cell to another cells. First one is the tight junctions. Second is the adhering junction. Third one desmosomes, and fourth one is gap junction. So we will discuss these in extra lecture on these junction. It's a big topic. So endocrine glands. What are the endocrine? We will differentiate the endocrine glands and exocrine glands. So what are difference between them? So it lack any ducts. Endocrine glands will don't have any ducts and secrete their products directly into the interstitial fluid or in the blood. Hormones are the product of the endocrine glands. They act as a chemical messenger, so, which influence the cell activities in another part of the body. Exocrine glands. They have the duct. They usually maintain their contact with the epithelial surface by means of a duct. Ducts secrete material onto the surface of the skin or into the epithelial surface lining an internal passageway. The best example of both exocrine and endocrine gland is the pancreas. Pancreas is endocrine as well as exocrine gland. Like the pancreas has islets of Langerhans, which produce glucagon, insulin. These are the hormonal products, which is called the endocrine part. Whereas in exocrine part, it has the amylase, trypsin. Further example we will see. Classification of exocrine glands. We will classify the exocrine glands on the basis of form and structure, like simple glands and compound glands. Like they have the ducts, which is a single one, or duct, which is a branch one, or we will call it as the compound gland. Types of secretion: tubular versus acinar ducts. Tubular and acinar ducts, we will see. Acinar is like an oval shape. Tubular means tubule shape. Method of secretion: tubulo-acinar gland. Secretion types. We have the two types of secretion. First one is the serous and second one is the mucus. Serous like a watery fluid such as sweat, milk, tears or digestive juices. Whereas mucus it's like sticky fluid. It's secret mucin, which is water absorbing properties which form mucus when mixed with water. Some glands are mixed glands, such as two pairs of salivary glands, which is located inferior to the oral cavity, contain both serous and the mucus cells, and produce a mixture of two types of secretion. We will classify the glands on the basis of their secretion type. Merocrine, which is also called as eccrine glands, their secretion method is they secrete secretive vesicle on the apex of their cells and release their secretion by the exocytosis. The glandular cells remain intact and are not damaged in any way by producing this secretion. Where other one is the holocrine gland. Secretion is produced through the destruction of secreted cells, means the whole cell will be destructed out with its secretion. Lost cells are replaced by division at the base of the glands, means the stem cells. We have apocrine gland. Secretion occurs with the decapitation of the apical surface of the cell and the subsequent release of secretory product and some extracellular fluid. Means that the apex of the cell will be degenerate with its secretory vesicle and it will maintain its shape by repairing the cell. The apocrine gland example are mammary glands and some sweat glands in the axillary and pubic region. Connective tissue. Most diverse, abundant, widely distributed, microscopically variable of the tissue, designed to support, protect, and bind organs, bind body structure together. As we have the example like cartilage is a connective tissue. Basic components of the connective tissue. All the connective tissue share three basic components. One is the cell, second one is the protein fiber, third one is the ground substance. We can explain these types on the basis that cells, if there are two cells, there will be some, if there are two cells, between them will be ground substance or gel-like substance in which protein fibers are embedded. Components of the CT cells. Connective tissue proper contains fibroblasts. They can produce collagen, fat containing adipocytes, cartilage containing chondrocytes, and bone containing osteocytes. Many connective tissue contain white blood cells such as macrophages, phagocytes foreign materials. Components of this connective tissue, protein fibers. Protein fibers, most scar tissue contains protein fibers throughout the body. They strengthen and support connective tissue. Types and abundance of these fiber varies depending on function. Means that there are collagen type 1, collagen type 2, 3. Further, we will discuss in separate lectures. Components of the connective tissue protein fibers. There are three basic types of protein fibers. One is the collagen fibers, strong and stretch resistance. They become stretched. Second one is the elastic fibers, are flexible and resilient. Third one is the reticular fibers, form an interwoven framework. We will discuss their example furthermore. We have components of connective tissue, ground substances. Cells and the protein fibers reside within a material called ground substance. Non-living material produced by the connective tissue cells means it's just like a gel containing different types of substance. Primarily consists of molecules composed of protein and carbohydrates and variable amounts of water. Maybe viscous, semi-solid, or solid. If it's viscous, then example will be blood. If it's semi-solid, then example will be cartilage. If the ground substance is solid, then it's bone. Function of connective tissue. It provides physical protection. It supports the structural framework. It binds these structures together. Storage of calcium phosphate we will discuss in the bones, and transports of material within and out of this connective tissue. Development of connective tissue. The primary germ layer mesoderm form all connective tissue. There are two types of embryonic connective tissues. First one is the mesenchyme and second one is the mucous connective tissue. Means that in adult we all the connective tissue just like cartilage and bones are actually originated by the mesoderm. Classification of the connective tissue. The connective tissue present after birth are classified into three broad categories: connective tissue proper, supporting connective tissue, and fluid connective tissue. If I want to give an example of connective tissue proper, then cartilage and bones are the example of this one. In fluid connective tissue, blood is the example. Supporting connective tissue, just like layers. The resident cells of the connective tissue proper. Fibroblasts, which forms the collagen. Adipocytes, which stores the fats. Fixed macrophages, which protect from the any pathogen. Mesenchymal cells, the venting cells of the connective tissue proper. Mast cell, mast cell produce histamine, means that they wander in the connective tissue. Plasma cells, which produce beta lymphocytes, macrophages, leukocytes, white blood cells. Two broad categories of connective tissue: loose connective tissue and dense connective tissue, on the basis of relative proportion of cells, fibers, and ground substance. Loose will have much cells and ground substance, where it will have barely fibers, where dense have much more fibers than ground substance or cells. Supporting connective tissue. Their examples are cartilage and bones form a strong, durable framework which will protect and support the sub-body tissue. Extracellular matrix contains many protein fibers that ranges from semi-solid to solid. Fluid connective tissue. Blood is as I already told you that blood is an example of fluid connective tissue, which is composed of cells formed elements, erythrocytes, red blood cells, and leukocyte, white blood cells. And we have the fragments of cells called platelets. Erythrocytes transports oxygen and carbon dioxide between lungs and body tissues, whereas the leukocytes maintain the immune response. Platelets involved with the blood clotting. Muscle tissue respond to these stimulation from the nervous system, causing them to shorting, means they have contractile property, produce a voluntary and involuntary movement. Nervous tissue, sometimes called neural tissue, consists of neurons or nerve cells, and glial cells that support, protect, and provide a framework of neurons. Neurons, they have the special capability to detect stimulus, where then it will process information quickly and rapidly from one region to the another. Prominent cell body function in control information processing, storage, and retrieval internal communication. Neurons process extend from the nerve cell body. There are two parts of the neuron, axon and dendrite, in which between them there is a cell body. Dendrite receive the receive the stimulus or any means any signal received from the dendrite, and axon it transmit that signal to other neurons. Or here we can see that there is a rupture in the epithelial tissue. We have epidermis, dermis of skin, leukocytes are residing in the dermis. There is no blood vessels in epidermis. There is no blood vessels in the epidermis, whereas whereas the blood vessels are present in the dermis of the skin. We can see that there are blood vessels has been ruptured here. There will be formation of blood clot. Macrophages are present there to kill any pathogen. Fibroblasts are producing collagen. They are filling the space. Neutrophils again they are with the macrophages. I hope you will learn well. I hope that this will be beneficial for your knowledge. This is an foundation for the basic anatomy. I hope you will like that video. Thanks.